Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cripescast. I'm your host, Charlie Behrens. This is the podcast where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest. We are powered by Everlight Solar, and here is this week's episode. Hey, everybody. My guest this week is Eric Howk. He is the guitarist of Portugal, the band. Eric and I have been buddies for a couple of years, ever since Joey's song maybe 2 years ago is when we first met. But he lives out there in Portland. I had a show in Portland. And so we decided to link up, do it in person. It was a lot of fun. By the way, sorry, we have gone a couple weeks without a new episode. It's just been a little crazy with filming the special and then jumping right back to the road. So we're going to try to not do that as much as possible. But yeah, it was super fun talking with Eric. We discussed everything from like where he is on his sort of music journey right now, the things that he's up to, his history with Portugal, the band. With Portugal, the man. And then just kind of, he's from Alaska. So Alaska versus Midwest, we dove into that a little bit. And also the Pacific Northwest versus the Midwest. A lot of quirks, a lot of fun things. We had a great conversation. We also talked some Bucks. He's a big NBA fan. So a lot of great stuff. But anyway, that interview coming up here soon. In the meantime, I want to let you guys know I am in St. Louis on 3/21 and then Cedar Rapids the next day, Omaha after that on 3/28. We're going down to North Carolina playing Charlotte, and then Tysons, Virginia for everyone in the D.C. area. And then 4/10, we're in Knoxville, followed by Jacksonville, Florida, 2 shows in Jacksonville. So hope to see you guys on the road. And that's about all she wrote there. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is my conversation with Eric Howk of Portugal, the man.
Is that going to be comfortable to do that?
Yeah, like the Brian Gumble kind of vibe.
There we go. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like...
like a branded kind of windscreen cover situation.
Yeah, like we're on a golf course somewhere. Yeah, I always feel Brian Gumble. He's a golf guy, right? News guy, golf,
sports,
something.
NBA 90s guy.
Yeah, kind of in the same range as he could go.
Yeah.
Chris Berman.
Yeah,
the way
nice.
He does.
Not quite a Dick Vitale, but
Yeah.
Who could?
Kind of you can't hold a candle to that stuff.
Is this how they usually start? You just start talking about like 90s figures.
Yeah, it's kind of how we like to ease into this stuff.
Yeah. Are you an NBA guy? Are you a basketball guy?
I like the box.
Yeah.
And I like the Bulls from the 90s because, that's when I first started watching basketball.
You're like a real Horace Grant era kind of situation. But,
oh, wow. Yeah.
You can do a whole hour about Damian Lillard. We're in Portland.
I know.
Bought my wife's Toyota from Damian Lillard Toyota. It's a crazy thing. You'll see a lot of local sports accounts that have now co-opted Bucks into it. Like there's a lot of Bucks Blazers love just because like Dame is that, X that we're still super cool with.
Oh, is that the case? I was actually curious how you guys feel about that.
No, we still love Dame. He's everywhere. He's still on, billboards around here. His number will be retired at Moda. Like he was, he brought the Blazers back at a time where we lost Brandon Roy, we lost Greg Oden, we just lost Aldridge. We had a rough couple of years, and Dame put us back on the map.
So that's kind of like Milwaukee when we had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then he went to the Lakers. Yeah. It's like you guys
still him.
Yeah.
We're not going to paint over the murals anytime soon.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So do you then root for the Bucks at all?
I do. Yeah. I'm a big Brooke Lopez guy.
Oh, nice.
Nice. I mean, Freak is great. It's a fun team.
It is a fun team.
It's a fun team, and you guys look scary this year. You look good.
We'll have to see. It's always the kind of thing. It's always crazy how long the basketball season goes. Yeah. You don't often think it's going till like July.
It goes from July, from like Halloween to the 4th of July. It's crazy.
Yeah.
82 games. They're busy.
That's a stretch. By the way, I love the lariat. Is that what it's called? Bolo tie.
It's called a bolo tie. I'm bringing the bolo back. The bolo never left Alaska. I'm guessing there's a pretty strong contingent of bolo wearers in the Midwest.
No, we don't have a bolo tie thing. I think it starts maybe in South Dakota.
Yeah.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Western North Dakota, South Dakota. I believe that's the beginning of the bolo range.
Stronger hat.
stronger hat,
strong brim. It's you know what this says? It says I don't work around heavy machinery ever. I've never touched a lathe in my life.
What is there a purpose to those? Do you know? Like, I had one as a kid, like kind of for fun.
Yeah,
I don't know why we got a costume box or something.
This was given to me by an indigenous fellow in Colorado named Walt Poulier, and I think it was just a gift and a like kind of show of generosity and respect, but it's also a hard ass look. So
yeah, it is a hard ass look. That's cool.
Yeah,
maybe one day I'll pull that off.
It's my grown up ensemble.
It looks good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll mail you one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That'd be cool.
They come. Yeah, you go to a Buc-ee's. They got all kinds of stuff on
them. Dude, Buc-ee's. How many being on the road? You've been on the road for. Like God,
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah. My first U.S. tour was in 2000, so I'm at my 25th year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm old.
Well, no, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're not. How old are you?
How old am I? I think I'm 43.
You're 43.
Yeah,
if you have to think about it, maybe that's
once past 40.
Being a traveling musician, being a professional song and dance man, what's like, when does it start being awesome? I'm living the dream. And when does it start to like wear on you?
It's all, so we kind of have a little bit of space this year, and there was some time during COVID, but we did a lot of side quests. We started up a foundation and stayed busy. I think this is the first time in a long time that we've had time, and God, we hit, with Feel It Still, with Woodstock, with all that stuff. It's my guesstimation that both 2017 and 2018, we played more than 365 shows a year, because we were doing morning radio things. We were doing like the 3-song acoustic thing. We did all the late night shows. Yeah. We were doing like at some points like 3-4 performances a day, and we were on the road for 18 months straight. I had the same bag packed for 18 months. and it was at a time that was full of, just experientials and superlatives. We were just doing crazy shit all the time. And like, went from the morning drive time alternative stuff to like Radio Disney and Ryan Seacrest. And you get that question, like, what's it like? Like, how's it feel? And all I could say is, I don't know yet, because I don't have time to think, and I have no idea, because this is all a blur. But the blur is great. The blur is super fun. And obviously, we're all kind of wired for it. I probably have the soul of a long haul truck driver. I do something that changes my environment on the daily. If I wasn't doing this, I'd find a way to travel and incorporate that into work.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it, so I guess it's sort of the travel that wears on you, not the music of it all.
I love the music. And I think anybody that does this on a medium-ish to high-ish level has like a case of the look at me's. Like I obviously, we all do to an extent.
A case of the look at me's, like I need attention.
Yeah, you don't know nothing about that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've never heard that.
I don't even want anyone else on the stage with me. That's
that's a pretty sweet gig. Is it just you two in the car? Is that? Yeah.
We actually were.
I bet you and the camera.
Hey, Dante. Yeah. Dante, my buddy Bill, who's opening on this run, and my buddy Adam, who's opening on this run. You met Adam, Adam Grohl, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Yeah. That's it.
That's us, right now.
God, that's beautiful. There's just so many. I can identify all band and crew by smell. Because we're like 2 buses, 2 trucks, like 15, 16 people out there. It's so many personalities.
Is it kind of, I mean, just to coordinate that many schedules is insane.
Yeah. Well, you abandon all hope, ye who enter, because everybody's schedule just becomes the commutative. That's not a word.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It becomes very egalitarian. It becomes just the community schedule. You're doing what everyone else is doing, and you just become this little like 32-legged organism that slithers around and eats the same chips. Like,
can you like be you hear a lot of bands talk about being creative on the road and how the road doesn't always like necessarily breed a lot of creativity since you're kind of go, but is that true for you guys?
there's a lot of cool scenery and a lot of cool people. And I think technology got so good and so small. We all have AirPods and instruments, and like I have a million voice memos of me being like, yeah, okay, that's a song,
Oh, okay.
But they're terrible. You listen back to them afterwards. I will get a couple good ideas every now and then. But it's funny. You get on our bus and it's not usually a guitar floating around, but there's a lot of overnight time. You're always driving the bus at night. So yeah, there's times to like kind of if you hit something while going like 80 miles an hour down the interstate, you grab a guitar, you pluck it out. I've got a lot of kind of poor recordings of ideas that I then take and like re-record into good things at home.
Okay, yeah,
it's usually how it works.
That makes sense. It's kind of how it is as a comedian too. You kind of go around, you jot down stuff either in the notebook or in your notes section. You
get it when you can,
and then when you're like, because. For me, it's kind of like, okay, I need a new bit. I need to fill this hour. I don't have a bit. Let me go to the note section, like see what random note I put down that I now feel like working on, And
you just play off yourself. Like you have to make yourself laugh for a bit to land, right?
Yeah, I definitely have to make myself laugh. Oftentimes that doesn't make anyone else laugh.
Yeah.
But it's like, you got to kind of say like, is this relatable? Will people get the premise right off the top? But with music, let me back up a little bit. So much of the stuff we scroll past now, because it's all changing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's looking for relatability right away. Something in the first 3 seconds to grab you, to get you doing that again. Does that translate really in music? Because music's a different thing than comedy or sketch.
But it's kind of not. Like you're at any point. Like I know you do a lot of sketch, and there's a vast library of classics and the greats to go off, and it's kind of the same thing with music. Like if you're a student of the genre, what kind of song you're going towards, and even if it's what's in your head, like a completely original idea, you can still kind of like get references along the way as you're doing it. Like, this is kind of like a Floyd thing, or like, oh, this would be cool, some Beach Boys harmonies, or like, a Wall of Sound Spectre kind of drum situation. Like, as you're stacking ideas up, I think the reference game is huge, and I imagine it's got to be similar in comedy. Or are you a singular genius voice in the?
No, God, no. But what you're talking about is like musical structure, like putting something that this band popularized and kind of using that as a reference point to build it. And sort of, I think in comedy, you're like, okay, this is a configurational joke where you say enough for the audience to then put the punchline in their head, or it's a reference, or it's is like kind of a thing.
I'm doing a crazy thing right now. I'm working on a film score, and it's got 35 cues in it, like little snippets of music. Oh. And the filmmaker put temp tracks in there. So a lot of copyright safe, either like AI vocal removed songs or, just like stock clips of music.
Yeah.
And I get to go in and try and beat all those. But like with my own interpretation of what's on the screen and how it feels, but it's got to be close.
Yeah.
So like very kind of genre specific thing. And it's the most fun I've ever had.
That's cool.
In the studio, because it's just me. I have to be the arbiter of quality and taste. Like, is this objectively better than what was there? And a lot of the time I got to be like, nah, I got to do better.
Yeah.
And I'll just scrap a whole song, a whole 3-minute clip, and I'll do it again. Yeah. It's super fun though. It lends itself to a lot of late night recording. Like last night I was up until 3:30, 4, just banging away down there. Like,
is that kind of when your creativity naturally goes?
I hate that about myself, dude. But absolutely. I was just wired to keep the campfire going overnight,
I kind of struggle with the same thing with writing. Like it's like you get on a hot idea at like 11 o'clock and you're like, oh, buckle up.
It's going to be a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You're trying to get your 8 hours of sleep and worry about your circadian rhythm, but it all goes away as soon as that idea comes.
It's always kind of been the case though. Like I moved to Seattle in 99 from Alaska. And the first job I really got, like the first serious job I got was a overnight like graveyard manager at a hotel.
Oh, and you were one of those guys.
Yeah, it's just like chain smoking out front and like a cornflower blue shirt with a yellow tie and khakis. And like,
what kind of a hotel was it?
It was a Best Western.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So you got some stories.
It was a Best Western in kind of the dicey part of town.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was sick. We had, like fixed groups that would come through. That was kind of like our bread and butter. And one of them it's called the MEPS, but it's like teenagers that have joined the army and they get like one night in town before they ship off.
Oh my God.
And like, I'm not a voice of authority. I was 18 at the time.
Yeah,
and I was like, hey, you can't, whatever.
What's the weirdest thing that you encountered being an overnight hotel manager at the Best Western?
1 million prostitutes.
Really?
1 million prostitutes.
Prostitutes frequent the Best Western. Huh?
This was right off Aurora Avenue in Seattle. And if you know anything about Seattle, like that's where you go.
Okay.
If you're in the market.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did you know when you took the job or
no,
did you just figure that one out?
I was a dipshit teenager from Wasilla, Alaska. I didn't know anything about anything.
But you learn quick.
Yeah. You get world weary very, very fast.
Oh, man. So you grow up in Alaska. Were you always into music there, or how'd you get into music?
Yeah, so actually, I knew John, the singer of my band, since the 80s. We went to the same elementary school together. But I played in a band with Zach, who's the original bass player of the band. We were in bands in high school together. I had like my little punk trio. Again, this is a town of 1,000 people in the middle of nowhere. So it's like we're all in each other's bands and there's nowhere to really play. So you're like playing, rec halls and armories and, the Elks Club.
Yeah, right.
Wherever you can get.
Right.
Yeah.
The Elks Club. Yeah. What's that like?
In Wasilla, it's pretty hot. It just becomes, the de facto community center of, it's the hang.
But you got like, you kind of hear about like the 10,000 hours and the Beatles getting that playing at the strip club in Hamburg. Yeah, right.
I don't think Wasilla is quite to Hamburg level, but yeah, we would play just everywhere.
Yeah.
And, set up a generator, go play in a field.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It's a lot of outdoor partying happening in Wasilla, Alaska in the summertime.
Yeah. I feel like Alaska and Wisconsin have a lot of similarities. Like, there's also a lot of field parties. Like we grew up
a lot of moist earth.
Moist earth, yes, a lot of humidity.
Yeah.
Someone would have a barn, and so that every like 3 months they would have a show in this barn that was like pretty much ready to come down on everybody, but you know, there was no code to be, but you would just get a bunch of kids coming from all over to that barn to play music and everything.
Yeah, we would, dude, like someone's head gasket would blow on their old piece of shit truck, and we're like, cool, let's have a party where we roll this out to the hayfields and shoot the shit out of this thing. And we'll set it on fire, and everyone goes home at 5 a.m. as the sun's still up.
Is that so you kind of like get the bug for it there, and then obviously you're like, I gotta find a place to like take this. So you go to Seattle, and at that point, like, were you sort of like inspired by the Seattle music scene, or was
I had like a VHS copy of a film called Hype, which was all about the sub pop scene and just all the grunge bands and the grunge bands that didn't quite make it but still totally revered up there. Like for every Soundgarden and Nirvana, there was a Tad, Green River, the Fastbacks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's this killer scene, and I missed it. I showed up years after grunge was dead, but the clubs were all still there, and like the infrastructure for it being a music town was there, even if there wasn't like this gold rush of like A&R men from LA trying to sign the next Nirvana. But there's really nice clubs and really nice rooms, and you get to know the community really quick. So I started a band there called The Lashes, kind of a power pop thing. And we were spoiled for choice of, great 400 cap rooms, 500 cap rooms. We could get booked on a Friday night with just like a demo cassette and, persistence calling the same number on a landline over and over again. So it was kind of a perfect time. Like the dying gasp of grunge allowed my band to step in and become a headliner pretty quick. And that band ended up signing with a punk label in the Bay called Lookout Records. Lookout signed, Operation Ivy, Green Day back in the day.
Yeah.
The Donnas, like really cool label. So total dream come true for a kid from a small town. It was just nuts. But yeah, we were just grinding it out early for, the love of the game and absolutely no money and doing the van life thing. And that band rolled along for a number of years. We were playing, like 100 shows a year at the top, and we're still on a group thread. We still talk.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Everyone did real interesting things out of that band. The singer ended up becoming my buddy Ben. He ended up managing Grumpy Cat.
Really?
Yeah. He became a meme manager. It was like a childhood friend of his dad's was the original guy that created Keyboard Cat.
Oh, no kidding.
So Ben sees that, Keyboard Cat's blowing up, reaches out to the guy. He's like, are you seeing any money from this? He's like, no, but it's really making people happy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, well, they're putting it on shirts on Hot Topic and,
Right.
So yeah, I could do a whole 6-part podcast about that guy.
It's kind of wild.
It's super crazy. But we were all ambitious, and that just kind of goes to show you, even if we were like a bowling league or something, we still would have tried to make it the best damn bowling league we could have.
Right. Right.
Everyone was just like young and hungry. But yeah, we eventually signed to a major, toured our ass off, had like a minor hit on the radio, did a couple of TV things. But I think eventually, it just the phone stops ringing. The label kind of loses interest. We got like our release date kept getting pushed further and further and further. And eventually the record that we recorded in 2003 doesn't come out till 2006. And by that point, like everyone's kind of fried from the road. So I just kind of put a cap in it. And yeah, around that time, I never lost touch with John and Zach from Portugal. I was, kind of watching them start up because they were in a screamo band for years called Anatomy of a Ghost.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was like real, of the era kind of stuff. They were great. They were super entertaining, super fun, but they played their asses off. And then that kind of, came and went. And then this Portugal the Man thing comes out of nowhere. And I, again, being a kid from Wasilla, watching another kid from Wasilla kill it, I'm like, there can only be one. Like, this is crazy. Like, how
there must only be one.
What are the fucking odds that there's another like national touring act from Wasilla? So it's always like gassing each other up, and staying supportive and staying in touch. And then I was talking with those guys and their manager at the time about joining up with the band. And again, at the time, that's like 150 show, 200 show a year band. I'm like, I could, I guess, goodbye girlfriend, goodbye apartment, put my cat for adoption and
that's
sell
a
my
song
car
right there. Goodbye girlfriend.
You sure you're not a songwriter?
Up for adoption.
That's pretty good. It just seemed like a crazy commitment, but I was on board with it. And then I got hurt. And this was back in May of 2007, right as that band was really kind of taking off. Yeah. So, it took a long time just to kind of figure out and learn how to be a human in the world again, let alone like getting in a van, knocking out a bunch of shows. It wasn't there. So it just kind of tabled the conversation,
Yeah, that had to be, how was that? Because it was sort of like a wild accident, right?
Yeah. Well, dude, it should have been wilder. What it was is I fell in a hole at a friend's barbecue in their yard or off their yard, I guess. But for a kid that grew up doing so many stupid things, it's just a rural upbringing, jumping headfirst into rivers and off mountains and stuff, like fell in a hole. But yeah, there was a ledge up against a hedge and I was sitting on that ledge. And the ledge goes back, and I went to catch myself on the ledge behind me, and just the neighbors behind him had carved out the land and dug out a foundation slab for an addition on their house.
Oh, jeez.
Down I go. So wish it was a cooler story, but yeah, definitely a change. But you know, the event itself, I think about it, you know, but I just kind of came out of it knowing that I had my hands, had my brain. I didn't fuck up anything else on me too bad. Few broken ribs, but I knew I could still do what I was doing, like pretty much immediately. It was just a matter of like, what do I need to bring with me, or what do I need to learn to do that?
Yeah. I mean, and just thinking in that way, knowing how chaotic the road is and everything.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to like get back on the road after that?
I had to ease back into it. I had to, you know, my first couple of tours I did, I would just like join my friends' bands as like a pickup artist, and you know, it's like a side guy. All of that was I figured out how to drive really quick, how to just like throw myself in and out of a car, and so I figured, well, I don't think I can like get in and out of a van very easily, or I'd take up too much space to do that. But if I'm in my own car, I can bring all the shit that I need. My chair's in there. I've got like terra firma. I got a, you know, if the green room's inaccessible, at least I got a seat to sit in.
Right.
So that was it. Like my first 5 or 6 tours, I just like basically lived out of my car. And at one point, it made me really mobile, you know, and I was just excited to have independence back. So I joined a band from Detroit for a while. Was kind of like spending a lot of time out there. Started playing with a singer-songwriter named Shelby Earle. And for the most part, it was just like her and I in a minivan driving around doing weekend warrior tours, you know, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks here and there. But, you know, just a little bit more every time with a little bit less in my bags every time, just figuring out what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. It's like at first I was traveling with like a whole hospital bed, you know, like just a whole situation, because I thought that's what you need. And it's taken me a long time to figure out what I don't need. But
that is an interesting thing of figuring out what you do and don't need when you're in a position where like everything you bring can kind of be a pain in the ass.
I think that works that way for everybody. It's like I'm spending 4 days in Hawaii, so I need 26 shirts and 12 pairs of pants, and the tendency to overpack is just like a human thing, I guess. I don't know. At this point, like I can make it a month, 6 weeks on the road with like a duffel bag and a backpack.
Yeah, you know, you kind of do get that thing where you realize when you're on the road, you don't miss any of. I mean, maybe for the first day or two, you miss the stuff you left behind. Then you get back home after, especially like 2 weeks on the road, and you're like, oh, I got all this stuff too.
What is all this shit?
Yeah,
dude. I still, it's kind of broken my brain. I've got like 7 half-packed bags in my closet right now. All of them have a toothbrush in them. All of them have like 2/3 of a stick of deodorant. And, you know, one of those little travel packs of Q-tips. They're all the same shit. And I don't know. I'll probably have them forever.
Folks, excuse the interruption, but I want to let you know that springtime is here, and we are, you know, you're looking out the window at all that new sunshine. I know there's some snow wherever you are, but the sunshine's coming. Doesn't that make you want to kind of harness the power of the sun and save some money and also help the planet a scotch? Well, if you're in the mood for that, check out Everlight Solar. They've been powering the Cripescast studio for years now, and they make it so much more cost effective. If you want to save the planet, save your pocketbook, go to everlightsolar.com and have them come over to your place for a free consultation. Check it out again, everlightsolar.com. And folks, be sure you check out mantalkmint.com for all your Midwest merch essentials. We've got the new Barron's Old Fashioned Life t-shirts. We've got Brandy musky glasses are back in stock, hoodies, koozies, hats, cribbage boards, the Midwest Survival Guide, and so much more. My albums are up there with Adam Gruel from Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. And of course, we got tickets for the tour. Check it out, manitowocminute.com. All right, let's get back to my conversation with Eric Howk.
Weren't you doing like a lot of recording at that time too? Or did you start doing that and more?
Yeah, I was trying to like figure out ways to kind of like get off the road. So I got invested with a venue up in Seattle called the Crocodile, and should have had you there.
I know.
Up in Seattle.
So that's still your venue.
Yeah.
You're still part owner of that.
Yeah. We're like a 700 cap room with a 300 down below. We got a hotel upstairs. Could have put you up.
Dude, what's up with that? The Moore also had a hotel.
Yeah. I like the Moore Hotel.
Yeah, that place is so haunted.
It's a spooky room. I love it. I love
cool.
it. We do. I missed it this year, but a couple of years ago, it's an annual thing. They do. The band, The Last Waltz.
Oh yeah,
the band.
Yeah.
So they would do like a Superstars of Seattle kind of cavalcade and recreate The Last Waltz every year, and
cool,
super fun. Yeah, I got to do Cripple Creek last
Did you?
time. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't put it together. I'm like, you didn't put it together? It's a slow burn, but
I just put it together. God damn it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. Someone was like, "Oh, you're going to hell." I'm like, "I'm going to hell." It was that way when I got here. What are you talking about? I had nothing to do with the writing.
When you said Cripple Creek, the first thing I thought is I used to play that in high school. Completely missing what you were putting down there.
Subtle. Did you play?
Yeah,
we talked. I think we talked about this at Joey's song.
Yeah, I play a lot of things half-assed, like guitar and mandolin and harmonica, that kind of stuff. So,
do you rip on harmonica?
I play. Yeah, I can do a little bit.
Can I? I was trying to do some blues harp stuff on a little score piece yesterday. Can I send you a track and email it over?
That would be great. I mean,
let's collabo. There we go.
Where'd you get this thing at? Oh man, nice. Yeah. I mean, I can do like a little bit. I gotta mess with it, but that's a dead reed. There's a couple dead reeds here.
Yeah,
hang on.
Charlie,
there's something there. There's something there,
Man of talent.
Yeah, I don't know. Half-ass talent, but
it's a sexy skill. I feel like
you want to blow on the thing I just blew on?
I'm good. I never play in the key of D.
Okay, I never play in the key of whatever disease you have. Never play in the key of your disease.
Wow,
there it is.
There was a time that I feel like every lead singer also ripped at harmonica. It was like it was a prerequisite.
It was a post Bob Dylan kind of thing.
Yeah. But even like Ozzy on is it The Witch or what's the tune?
I don't know. I just remember seeing him in Behind the Music.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Behind the Music playing the harmonica.
Yeah.
This was after he snorted the line of ants, I believe.
Oh, sure. That from The Dirt. Was with Crew at that point?
He was with Motley Crue. Yeah. You saw that Behind the Music too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I read the book.
Did you?
Back in the touring days, we had a well-worn copy of The Dirt in our first van. This is before streaming.
Oh,
when you had to read words.
Yeah, geez.
But The Dirt was great. They knew what they were doing. There was like a whole 20-page section of like glossy photos in the middle of it. So it's a picture book.
You get those glossy photos in them, that'll get people opening the book, reading the little caption, and then before you know it, you're actually reading the book.
It makes a great platform to snort a line of ants off of, too. It's non-porous.
A little gloss. You can't lose any of them, Mm-hmm. You see them moving there.
All accounted for.
Yeah. But owning the venue and everything like that. So
I'm so ADHD.
No, me too. I do this all the time. But I mean, is that like you find these different business ventures to sort of like, were you doing that because you were kind of off the road or you were just looking to diversify your stuff?
Yeah, I was looking to find a way to like stay close to it without being on the road, and being in a venue, you just have people that are on the road all the time coming to you. So you get to microdose that reality without actually having to like do the sacrifice.
Yeah, right. Right.
On terra firma. It didn't really take. I'm still involved in it, but I just couldn't get off the road. And I joined up full time with Portugal about 10 years ago after a lot of talks and a lot of planning and a lot of attempts to kind of like slide into it. But once I was in, it was just like at no point were they like, okay, you're hired, or like, here's your contract. It was just get on the bus.
Yeah.
and that was it. And at no other point was there a conversation of like, are you in or are you out? It was just, it was in it. And I think the road's like that, like other bands that I was in, if there was any kind of personnel change, it was the same kind of thing. You just like jump on the merry-go-round.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get off of it is to just jump off. So people come, people go. But yeah, it's a crazy industry now.
It is, because like when you're touring and like when people, sometimes I think bands tour for the love of touring. Sometimes it's almost like, oh, we got this gig, the money's there, we take it. Like, do you find that most bands and people, do you find like they're just, because you look at like Willie Nelson, right?
Yeah.
That dude, you're like, he can't be doing it for the money. But then you hear about Jerry Garcia. He just built so big of a team that he was touring for the money at some point,
Yeah.
Do you think bands, generally speaking, do all those dates like because they're striking while the iron's hot, or are they just like addicted to the road? Because you'll also hear how hard the road is.
I think there's usually someone behind the scenes that's coercing them into doing it. Like with Feel It, still we didn't say no to anything for years, but we also didn't feel like we had the option to say no to anything. It was just like, hey, you're doing these 12 things this week, and they're on the calendar, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But at no point was I like, oh man, I'm gonna make so much money off this. It was just like, boy, I'm going to really see every city in Ohio.
Yeah, right.
And then we're going to see them all again 3 months from now, doing the Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, shuffle.
Doing the southern tour of Ohio. And there's a lot of cities in Ohio.
There's a lot of Ohio.
You ever played Van Wert?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're missing out.
What's that all about?
Yeah, it's quite the city, man.
Yeah.
Van Wert, Ohio. Yeah, I played it.
All right.
It's pretty wild.
Damn.
Yeah. Next time you're in Toledo, think about it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so because also with a band, it's like different dynamic again than just like a stand-up. Like you're almost, do you get to the place of where like you don't want to say no because the rest of the band's counting on you, and then you got like the agent that's booking it and nobody knows who's booking it, but nobody's saying no, kind of a thing?
You usually know who's booking it, and we all had a relationship with our booker. We had the same booker for years. But I know the band just signed with William Morris Agency, which is going to absolutely keep Portugal the Man in your concert listings for the foreseeable future. It's going to be a busy next year. But because we're kind of moving and shaking stuff around a lot, it's been kind of a slow year because we're in between bookers. We had a transition in management. There was some personnel changes and stuff. And I'm looking at all of it. I'm not sure how much touring I'm going to do the rest of this year or into next year. I think at this point, this band has really kind of become an ensemble, and I love it so much. And I'm so proud of everything that we've done. So proud of every part that I've been able to play in it. But it's a grind. I'm old. I live on a farm now. We have horses. I think my perspective may have drifted a little bit, and my priorities may have shifted slightly.
Very interesting. It's interesting how a farm and some horses can change your perspective on things.
I haven't told many people about this. I haven't really talked about it, but I figured I'd tell you and all your followers right now.
Oh wow! So this is a scoop, an exclusive. If you
it might be a little bit of a little bit of something. Yeah, I sat out my first show yesterday or the day before yesterday. They're off doing a fly out date in San Francisco, and it was the first one that I was tapped out on.
How'd that feel?
FOMO for sure.
FOMO, yeah.
It's weird. I'm happy at home. It's probably better for my mental health. It's absolutely better for my physical health. Road's hard in a lot of different ways, but I'm always gonna miss it, or I'm always gonna think about it. And I remember being in the hospital post-injury and just like scheming and thinking about how to get back out there. And my band at the time, we had a festival slot booked. We were playing a festival called Bumbershoot in Seattle, like great, regional festival, been going for years. And we had a decent slot on a decent stage, and it was like 3 months out. And so that became the goal. It's just like, I got 3 months to figure out how to play a show, how to get on stage and do the whole thing. And like, it's been the central preoccupation of my thoughts for my entire adult life. It's going to be a weird thing to step away from completely, but I'll figure out how to do it in some capacity. And if it's with these guys down the road, beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it's a killer family. If it's with the Charlie Barron's blues harp brass band and me on jugs and you on the juice harp or whatever, I'm down. Yeah, I'll keep doing it forever in some capacity.
Yeah, but it's sort of like it's a transition phase in your life right now from like prioritizing the road and the band at kind of all costs. So you're sort of seems like you're exploring other things in addition to just taking a break.
This is what happens when you have a break. You get to think.
That's what happens.
It is. I have not had the luxury of thought in a few years, you know, and nothing wrong with that. You know, it's been the most fun that I could have imagined having it as an adult. You know, I got to meet you. Yeah. I got to meet all kinds of interesting people around the world. You know, I got friends in different countries. That's insane.
Yeah.
You know, and that I know that's all because of the grind and the road. And, you know, we've played some incredible places that don't get a lot of live music, and you get the appreciation. And it reminds me of what it was like being a kid in Wasilla, and, you know, somebody from the radio is coming to town to play a show. Right. We would see every fucking show. Like, we would go to every show. I saw Slayer, Primus, and Neil Diamond all in the same year just because they came to Anchorage. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, people get excited for that. We play a lot of places like Van Wert, for instance, and people come out, man.
Really
come on. I'm really bringing up Van Wert in this interview.
Really soft-selling Van Wert.
Yeah, it's a solid spot, man.
Killer.
You got to check it out next time.
Have you made it to Alaska?
Yes, I've been to Sitka. That's it.
Sitka?
Yeah.
Did you play what's the
I didn't play anything. I was just there doing a video, actually.
Cool.
But
we played Sitka last month.
Where'd you play?
A little memorial concert hall kind of community center thing.
Oh, sweet.
It was killer. It was great. Yeah.
What a beautiful place. Alaska's so beautiful, man.
We had never played Southeast before, and I had never been to Juneau. I'd never been to Sitka. I grew up in Alaska. I'd gone everywhere that has a road, you know, and a lot of places that you could fly in and out of. I did those, like little bush plane hauls. But we were in Anchorage, which is like, I don't know, 1,500 miles from that shit.
Yeah,
Alaska's
it's like a different country.
So big.
It is.
And Southeast in particular, like Sitka was amazing. I don't know how your flight in was, but
it was pretty chill, actually.
We our pilot aborted the landing, did a violent go around because there was a crazy last minute wind shear on approach. So just throttle up, and then you just feel that fully loaded plane fighting its way out of wind shear.
Oh, man. People
were crying.
Oh, jeez, dude. Was this on one of those propeller planes?
No,
this was a standard jet.
This was like a Embraer 175 or something. But
translation, Dante, what's that?
It's a decent sized jet.
Okay, people were crying for that, just going back up.
And I grew up in an aviation family. My grandpa was an airplane mechanic. I did that for a couple of years, like assistant A&P. I love airplanes.
Yeah.
And if you're flying in and out of Sitka, you're good.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. At that point, I think the pilot was just eyeballing the parameters and like, nope, not going to get it. And he just gunned it and went around. But good.
Yeah, right.
That's how it was
supposed to work.
I would prefer for that guy in that moment to be like, nah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then just scoots around.
I didn't even realize there was such concern flying into Sitka sometimes.
Were you looking out the window? It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
It's nuts. The airport's on its own little island. Oh, what was the island called? It had a really cute name.
You know what?
It's not Californsky.
We didn't fly into Sitka. Now that I'm thinking, I think we flew into Juneau.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more chill.
Yeah. God, sometimes I can't remember.
Sitka was chaotic. It was super cool.
God. Well, now my ADD got the best of me. I want to go back to you.
I want to talk about airplanes.
Let's talk about airplanes. Let's talk about, you know what?
Baranoff Island. Oh, yeah.
Baranoff Island.
Cute little thing.
So you were an airplane mechanic though?
I was my grandpa had this crazy gig. So he was a reconnaissance pilot in World War II, and he ended his career, moved up to Alaska, and started a business called Air Parts, which was like a junkyard for Cessnas, basically like a salvage yard. Which turns out the FAA don't like.
I was just going to say, this gives me very little confidence in ever riding in a Cessna.
If you got a 94 Mitsubishi Galant and you need a door, okay. You go to the pick apart and you find a mismatched color one and you bolt it on, and that's fine. But like my grandpa would fully sell you, like if you had a bent aileron on a Cessna 172, it'd be like aisle 4. And send you down, and you just grab it and then, weld it up yourself. You'll figure it out.
Wow.
And he had every part of every plane. It was a massive warehouse. And his gig was if there was a wreck that had happened within the vicinity of Anchorage, he would fly out with an arc welder and a sack of tools, and usually one of his helpers, his employees. And he would either get that plane back up in the air through repairs on site, or he'd, buy the wreck wholesale, and he'd just get out a Sawzall and he'd start cutting it up right there. And he would like ratchet strap entire flying surfaces, entire wings to the side of his plane, and then fly back to Anchorage holding the yoke like this to compensate for the wind. This is a crazy man. Dude. He had something like 25 dead stick landings in his logbook, meaning full loss of control of the aircraft, and he survived them.
Oh my God.
He was nuts.
Wow.
So I should have more fear of airplanes, I think, because of that. But I like, dude, in a jet, I'm like, eh.
You're like, if my grandpa could do it holding down, you just rolled the window down or whatever the hell you do in a plane and just held it on there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the most Alaska stuff I've ever heard in my life.
He was psycho. He was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then the FAA kind of closed down his business. Is that how it went, or is it still?
I think he passed before they caught him.
Okay.
I think mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
He was always ducking OSHA, ducking the FAA.
Yeah,
a lot of. They were always coming for him. But it was doing that in Alaska in the 80s. There's just not a whole lot of heat on you.
Yeah,
you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Everyone's got a license up there. Everyone's buzzing around. So.
Do you fly?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You have a plane here at your farm?
I don't. I'd love to buy one. I got a decent amount of hours. Don't have my license. Gonna get it. Probably this year. But
wait. How does that work? I don't have.
I go up with instructors.
Oh, you go up. I thought you were just going up with your grandpa, and he was like. Well, try a dead stick this one.
I did, and I have for sure. But it's a little looser up there. They're a little bit tighter on the comms around these parts.
You got it. Yeah. When there's more people below you, they probably
I feel I just love it. I feel like everyone on the ground is such a loser when I'm up in those things. It's like we had the gift of the skies. Like don't let them take it from you. It's good up there.
Oh man, that's
and
cool.
If you were into walkie-talkies as a kid, have I got a hobby for you? Because it's just you're just on the radio and it's killer.
Oh, that is sweet. So a lot of things like that. Now that you got some time, you think maybe a little more flying in your future.
I think I'll get up in the planes a little bit more. Keep my wife on the horse a little bit more. Alternative means of transportation is the name of the game.
That's cool.
Rock and roll. I just want to get places in unorthodox ways.
Love it. We're almost close to time here, but a few things.
Parked in the 60-minute zone. I hope I'm cool.
Yeah. We'll rock out here, but we're in Portland right now. I'm noticing a lot of flannel here in Portland. What's the difference between Portland flannel and you've been to the Midwest flannel?
Midwest flannel keeps you warm It's usually got that sub layer of insulation going on, almost always.
Thicker, yeah.
You'll notice the Northwest flannel, and you see it on Kurt Cobain. He's wearing a waffle shirt under it. You know, there's like a long john happening under there because it's a thinner flannel. So that it's everything's layers.
Okay, so it's more fashionable flannel, perhaps.
I think in the Midwest, you put on a coat.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on a coat because it's cold. And there's not a whole lot of variability. In Seattle and in Portland, you put on 5 layers because who the fuck knows what's going to happen in the next couple hours.
All right. We have that in the Midwest in spring. Yeah. So like your guys' every day is our spring, essentially.
I've noticed touring the world, you notice that every single place has that phrase of like, oh, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Everywhere thinks that they invented that.
I know. I was just watching somebody do that bit. I forget what they were doing, but I was like, God, it's so funny that everybody does that. And I've done it for my own thing, so I get it.
That's really high caliber comedy, just talking about the weather.
Yeah, I got a lot of weather bits. Yeah, I'm hitting there, just hacking away at the weather bits.
Yeah.
Before we go, last question. We have a thing on the Cripescast called the Cripe Sesh. So what makes you say cripes?
What, is this like a what really grinds my gears kind of
exactly.
thing?
Yeah.
Were you a Car Talk fan? I was a huge Car Talk fan.
Yeah. Car Talk was great, man.
Boy, what makes me say cripes? Okay, that's it. Good night. I got nothing.
You got nothing? Nothing?
What makes you say cripes? I've never considered in my life what makes me say cripes.
Yeah, just what grinds your gears? What's a pet peeve?
I don't think I've ever said cripes. I've said it like 4 times in the last minute.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like the FAA,
that damn regulatory
body messing with my grandpa's plain junkyard business.
Safety, trying to keep private rockets out of the hands of backyard mechanics. What makes me say cripes? Just the lack of being able to work on your own stuff in the year of our Lord 2025. I'm a tinkerer. I like fixing things. I like working on things. I've got 5 different drills at home, and they've all got 5 different battery packs, and none of them go together, and none of them plug into the same thing. That bothers me.
That's annoying, man.
That makes me say cripes.
That's that planned obsolescence.
Yeah. A maintenance-free transmission in a car. You can't even check it with a dipstick anymore. Get out of here. Cripes.
Cripes.
All right, I figured it out.
There you go. Yeah.
That was hard. I'm not a cripey guy.
No, I see that now.
Yeah.
But the way fixing a car these days requires like a USB stick to put it in there to get anything done.
Maybe that's better. I don't know. Maybe it's cool, but I like to wrench on things. I don't know. I'm
fun.
old and slow, and I can't learn a new trade.
It's fun to know those ones. I saw you got that Jeep out there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Jeep's sick.
That's
you
sweet.
Like that?
Yeah, I do.
That's kind of Midwest, right?
Yeah.
It'd be rusted to shit out there.
It would. Yeah. We got too much salt on the road.
We got none. You'll see a lot of unspectacular cars in extraordinary condition around here.
That gets me going.
You'll see like a 97 Dodge Neon that's just like factory fresh. And
dude, those were the stick shift too, those neons.
Oh, yeah, you could get them in a stick. A nice little tidy 5-speed.
Yeah.
High rev and 4-cylinder.
I saw a Toyota the other day, an old Toyota, like, what was it? I don't know. One of those like old, like just kind of the Ford Ranger of Toyota pickup trucks.
Oh,
like a Tundra before the Tundra, but smaller.
A little Tacomas.
A little Tacoma maybe, but 5 on the floor. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, they're so good. And they always had the jazzy little graphic, like a solo cup on the side.
Yes. Yeah. It is something semi-neon. Like this had neon stripes, like blue and orange and yellow.
You see what they took from us? Splashes of color on mid-size economy cars.
They took that away.
Every car had them. Only the motorhomes have them now. The motorhomes never lost them.
No, but now every pickup truck looks like they ingested steroids into the thing.
Cripes.
And that concludes our Cripe Sesh. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Super fun. I forgot a camera was there.
See,
that's forgot a Dante's there.
Where can people follow you and all that? If you want them to even follow you.
You can follow the Portugal the Man Instagram. You can find me around. I'm I'm on the internet.
Give them the address to your farm, just so they...
My farm is about 22 miles northwest of Portland. You just follow the Columbia River up. You see the hills on the left. We're up in that pass in there, about 20 miles up.
I can't believe you just did that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
There's many farms up there.
Yeah, okay.
Guess which one?
Yeah.
The one with all the airplane parts and shitty cars out in the lawn.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Super fun.
Folks, that is all the time we have for now. If you want to follow Eric, check him out at Eric_Hawk on all the socials. Follow Portugal the Man at Portugal the Man. And of course, follow us, the Cripescast at Cripescast. That's all we have for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Big thanks to Hannah Milos and Colleen Maraca for editing and producing the podcast. We'll see you all next week, and watch for deer. Bye-bye.
So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down, just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin, the Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee.
You know, sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot in the walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.